this show is all about the unbelievable. What's actually possible when you believe in yourself, when you actually go for gold. And Dubai couldn't be a better place in the world to actually even think about inspiration and what's actually possible. You just take a look around, and the DMCC, Dubai Multi-Commodity Center Authority, is one of those stories. 1,200% growth since 2000, since the early 2000s till now. In less than 10 years, they have created a legacy, it seems. And we have the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Malcolm Wall Morris, with us to tell us how they did it. Let's hear a little bit about his background.
Malcolm Wall Morris is the CEO of the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center, the DMCC. Malcolm is a commodity and derivatives expert with over 17 years of experience in the physical commodity and exchange sectors. Before joining the DMCC in November 2009, Malcolm spent 2 years as the CEO of the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, the DGCX, which he successfully built up to become the region's leading derivatives exchange for commodities and currencies. In 2008, Malcolm played the lead role in launching crude oil future contracts on the DGCX, which became the most successful product launch in the exchange history and until today remains an important part of the exchange product portfolio. Previously, Malcolm has been involved in the physical coffee trade based in Paris and London, as well as helping pioneer the world's first online B2B marketplace for the global coffee trade. More recently, he headed the business development of commodity products at LIFE, the derivatives business of the New York Stock Exchange Euronext, where he played a significant role in expanding LIFE's commodity business.
This is one of the great Dubai success stories. Mr. Malcolm Wall Morris, welcome to Ion Careers.
Thank you very much.
It's a real pleasure to have you here, and I guess this is one of your favorite songs.
Yes, I kind of love it. It's the old soul funk, which has been jazzed up a little bit with a bit of hip hop. Comes from a great movie, The Lincoln Lawyer, and I thought it was kind of good to listen to tonight.
Is that because this is basically what the magic is that you've created? It's a touch of tradition, a touch of contemporary, and a touch of innovation.
I think that's absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, it is exciting. I mean, a lot of people don't know the story. A lot of people don't know that you guys were only trading $5 or $6 million worth of diamonds, and all of a sudden now you're up at $40 billion, and you literally did that from a sandlot.
This is true. I think that the real focus has been on delivery. It's been on tangible results. It's been on making sure that the aspirations of the company of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed have been delivered. And it hasn't been about the brand. It hasn't been about making a big splash. It's been about real things, real trade. And that's why that the DMCC is the fastest growing free zone in Dubai, and in a very, very short space of time is going to be the largest free zone in Dubai.
Which one is?
Well, we will be. The DMCC will be the largest free zone in Dubai in a very short space of time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's the growth rate you're having now?
Well, the growth rate we've had this year has been phenomenal. We've almost registered another 1,000 companies.
Wow.
In the first few months of this year. The record we had was in April, which happened to coincide with our 11th birthday. And we registered over 260 new companies.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Why is it? It's just cheaper, or it's a better deal, or why is everyone flocking to the DMCC?
Well, I think the best thing to do would be to ask the customer. I'll give you our opinion. 3.5 years ago, we made some fairly significant changes to how we did business. We made some changes to the culture of the company, and we very much focused on the customer. And we took away the idea of it being a privilege to come and do business here, and we turned it into being a partnership. And if I told you that a vast majority of our business is coming from referrals, so it's existing customers telling their colleagues, their friends, their competitors, come to the DMCC, it's the place you can do business. They understand what you need. They understand what needs to be done so you can get up and running as quickly as possible. And that's what happened. So it's a great story. But there's much, much more to be done.
Do you have to be a commodities business to register there? Or, I mean, for example, I run an executive search business. Can the headhunter firm, as its services are allowed, is it anything goes, or is there some restraints?
Well, right now we have about 6,700 registered businesses in the free zone, and about half of those are directly involved in the trade of physical commodities and trade of commodity trade. Everything else is supporting that business. So it is recruitment consultants, it's lawyers, it's accountants, it's specialists, it's retailers, because of course you can be sitting in your office trading commodities, but you're going to want a cup of coffee in the morning, you're going to want to have a sandwich at lunch, etc. So the DMCC can license the full gambit of services, giving you the ability to have 100% ownership of your business, as well as own the property that you're working from. And indeed, if you wish, you can even live in the free zone. There's residential space as well. So we offer you the real ability to work, live and play.
You own your office? It's not just
absolutely. Yeah, really? It's 100% of your own company that you can own, and you can also own your own office if you wish.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. So how did all this start? I mean, did you know as a child, or did you have a vision that you're going to become a CEO, or in high school you're saying, I'm going to really go for this executive leadership type of deal?
To say as a child I was going to be a CEO, that's a mistake. I do remember sitting in a departure lounge in Hong Kong when I was about 19 years old. I just was finishing a year of traveling around the world with a backpack, and I was sitting in the lounge waiting to get onto this very large Cathay Pacific jumbo jet to fly back to the UK. And all of a sudden an announcement came on and said, we'd like to invite our first and business class passengers to get onto the aeroplane. And this chap in front of me stood up and off he went to sit in his nice big comfortable first class seat. And I did say at that point, age 19, that guy has my seat. I really need to be doing that. Now, how on earth can I achieve that? How can I achieve the ability to fly at the front of the plane? And how can I sort of fulfill my passion for travel and in a job? And it ended up that I ended up becoming, in a very few short years after that, a physical coffee trader based in Paris and France. And so effectively, I was being paid to travel the world, buy coffee, and sit in the first class or business class of an airplane. So yes, when you want something, you set your eye on the prize and you just go for it.
So, and is that it? Because I think in the book, Paul Arden, who is one of the greatest creative directors of all time, we're working for Saatchi & Saatchi at the apex of his career. He said, it's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be that matters. And is that, it sounds here that your greatest asset really was your ambition early on.
I think that it's certainly ambition, but it's also I think that clearly a secret for me, or a secret that I've always adhered to, is that I trust myself. I trust myself implicitly, and I have confidence in myself. And so if I think that I want something, or I think I can achieve something, then I back myself, and I give myself every opportunity to do that. And it's done me pretty well so far.
So what do you do? Were you always that confident? Or, so some people say, okay, I want to have confidence, but if I don't have it, how do I get that?
Well, I think you're a little bit careful with the word confidence. It's great to have confidence, but at the same time, one of the lessons I learned very, very early on is you've got to be humble, and you've got to get the right balance of humility with the arrogance, or if you like, or confidence to succeed. I think that I've always been fairly confident. I think that came very much from the upbringing I had. I had two incredibly supportive parents, so much so, to be honest with you, that when I made a conscious decision not to take up a place to go to college, I had a place to go to college, but I decided not to go. My parents backed me 100%, and they said, whatever you're going to do, we'll follow you. So that goes back to the point I made just now, to say that, back yourself. You think you can achieve something, and that's what I've always done.
I thought you said bank yourself, which means almost like invest yourself. I thought it was like a play on words, which was very insightful, but I guess I just misheard that. But
well, I say back myself. If you want to say bank yourself, you can do that. But I think back yourself. It's believe in yourself and have the confidence that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to.
And invest in yourself. So many people don't invest in themselves. One of my favorite quotes is, formal education will get you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune.
Look, I'm a big fan of formal education. I didn't choose that route for myself. I chose. I thought I could learn more and achieve more if I was out in the world doing and delivering. And that's a consistent theme in my life. But to be perfectly frank, I've always supported formal education. And in fact, today, I've assisted the National University of Singapore Business School with an MBA program that they run about cultural change and driving growth. So I'm helping an MBA class with a professor in Singapore, and I don't have that formal education myself. So I think that, for me, is a great story.
You don't have a university, do you?
No, I don't.
That's amazing. And you're one of the region's top CEOs with, we were talking about the Arnold story earlier. There's no excuse. We are back in Eye on Careers. I'm your host, Shane Phillips. This is an amazing story. Going from a sandlot to 40 billion worth of traded diamonds. And at the helm of it is Mr. Malcolm Walt Morris, the Chief Executive Officer, who rises up even despite not having a university education. This is one story you don't want to miss. Malcolm, thank you so much for coming out on your Thursday night. Welcome back to Ion Careers.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So this is amazing. You make a decision in your life that, hey, I'm not going to go on, do the MBA, accountancy, all that stuff, and I'm going to get real world experience. Next thing you know, in your early 20s, you're flying first class as a coffee trader around the world. Is it an organic kind of just evolution of life, or you really were having a focus? Hey, here's my blueprint. Here's my key milestones I need to hit.
Well, I'll take a step back and just sort of explain how that all happened. I did my exams in the UK. I got my place to do a BA in business and marketing in the UK. I then took a year out and decided to work. And I worked for a courier company selling in sales and earned quite a lot of money. And then I decided with that money that I was going to take a second year out and travel. I thought there's a huge world out there. I wanted to go and see it. That was a big error because effectively I'd earned money, so I'd cash in my pocket. I wasn't relying on my parents. And then I went to see the world. And I was in Australia with a very good friend of mine, and we were having fun. We were sort of going along to car dealerships and pretending that we wanted to buy a very nice, expensive car and driving around. And then we were going off to various restaurants and meeting nice Australian young ladies, etc. And my father rang me and he said, "Malcolm, what's going on?" I said, "Dad, we're having the best time." And he said, "Yeah, but 2 years ago, your friends went to college and they're 2 years into doing their BAs. What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure I want to come back. There's too much. The world is too big, and I've only got a part of it."
To give him a heart attack.
Well, no, because he was very supportive. But anyway, he was very smart, and he basically said to me, "If you come back to go to college in September, and you decide you don't want to go, I will fund and I will pay for you to go to Paris for 6 months to learn French, and then to Germany for 6 months to learn German." And I sat down with my good friend. And I said, "What do you think?" He said, "A year on your dad living in continental Europe? That sounds awesome. Do it." So I flew back to the UK. I met my friends who were at college, and they were telling me how much fun they were having eating beans on toast and doing their own laundry and going to lectures. And I just looked at them and I said, "You have no idea what's out there. The world is this huge place, and it's so exciting." And so I turned to my dad and said, "I'm going to go to France. I don't want your help. I don't want your support." And I went off to France. And the rest of this day is history. And I ended up living in Paris for 7 years, not 6 months. So I was able...
Très bien.
Yeah, well, je parle français un peu comme ça, oui.
Okay, and the whole time you're going into trading?
Well, actually, when I got to France, I ended up working for the International Herald Tribune, which is a newspaper, English language newspaper based in Paris. And I was working there with one of the staff as an American girl, and her husband was the head of coffee trading at a small French boutique coffee and cocoa trade house. And cut along,
the girl you're dating?
No. It's a girl I was working with. Her husband was working at this trade house. And in fact, I had been incredibly impressed by Hong Kong and the Far East. In fact, I think even at that age, even at 19, I could see that the future was definitely East, and less so the developed markets. And so I was very keen to try and get back to the Far East, and particularly Hong Kong. And but this girl clearly thought that I had something interesting about me, and so introduced me to her husband. And cut a very long story short, he basically invited me to join him as a junior in his company, sitting on the coffee desk and learning how to trade coffee. And less than 2 years later, I was running the entire book worth over $100 million.
Wow! How did you rise up that fast? What was the ingredients there?
Hard work. There's no shortcuts in this life. In the end of the day, it's about tangible delivery. And I think that's where I've been very lucky, is that you put the hard work in, you get the results, and then you hope to sort of get the recognition. And I've been very fortunate here in Dubai. I was headhunted down from the UK to run the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange. And, not having that formal education has never been a hindrance to me. But it's always been on the back of the fact that I've got these tangible delivery. There's real results. And after 2 years of running that exchange, Ahmed bin Salim, who's the executive chairman of DMCC, called me and said, "I want you to come and work with me at DMCC and help us steer through the crisis which is gripping the world right now and restructure the business." And that was all based on the delivery I'd done at the exchange. And so what I found is that if you work really hard and you deliver and you achieve, then doors open, opportunities arrive elsewhere. And I think for me, it's the ability to recognize the opportunities and to take those risks and go for it.
So when you took your first trading job, were you basically just passing out at your desk, working 7 days a week, working through the weekends, working in the evenings, working in the mornings?
I was first in the office, last in the office, and there's a quite a funny tale. When I started in coffee trading in 1994, I'd arrive in the office and I would print out all the news stories off Reuters, and even those days we had Reuters screens. And I'd been there about 3 weeks, and the owner of the business arrived one morning and he said, "Good morning, Malcolm. How's everything? Anything happened this weekend?" And I said, "Yes, Antoine. There's been a frost in Brazil." And he looked at me and took a sort of second look and said, "Malcolm, did you say there's been a frost in Brazil?" I said, "Yes, and according to the news reports, it's been quite bad." I had no idea that was the most severe frost that had hit Brazil in decades, and would have a monumental change on the price of coffee, and the fact that at the end the coffee would go up by 300%. 2 weeks later, Antoine arrived back in the office, and he said, "Malcolm, anything happened this weekend?" And I said, "Well, funny you should say that, Antoine. There's been a frost in Brazil." And he said, "Malcolm, that was very funny 3 weeks ago." And I said, "No, there really has been another frost in Brazil." So I was seen at that point by the owner of the business as being a very good luck mascot, that he'd come into the office and we'd make money over the weekend because there'd been frosts in Brazil.
That's always a good positioning for yourself as you become the good luck mascot to the owner. Can't be a bad spot to be in. But I mean, you've basically traveled the world. You've built trading businesses, and some of, obviously, as we've prefaced, some of the biggest ones in the world. What has been the most challenging thing you've ever faced in your entire life?
Well, I think there were probably two. After I left trading, I traded in Paris for a considerable time. Then I moved back to the UK. And I moved back to the UK because my mother was terminally ill, and I wanted to be able to go and see her whenever I could. But then I got involved after just with an associated business with online trading. It was like a .com business, and it was the peak of the .com boom. And everything that I'd made, all the money I'd made in the trading, was invested in this company, this .com company. And it was coffee focused again. It was an online trading system for coffee. But unfortunately, like many things in the .com boom, it didn't work. And I found myself age 30, having lost all of my money. My mother, unfortunately, had passed away. And to find the ability to pick oneself up, start again from scratch, that was a big challenge. That was a huge challenge. But again, you back yourself. You say, "I can do this. I can get through this." And I found, with the support of my friends, my family, and again, this inherent self-belief that you will see it through, you will improve. And so that what got me through that. And I suppose the last biggest challenge was being asked by Ahmed bin Salim to join him at DMCC to help him restructure the business. And that was a big challenge, because, as we all know, the global financial crisis we're still feeling the effects today. I joined the DMCC business. 3-4 days later, the Dubai debt crisis surfaced. So I'd been in the job not even a month, and it was a real issue. And I think that was a real test of leadership ability, both for myself and Ahmed, and how we were going to steer the company through this crisis. And that was interesting. It was about a cultural change for the business to do that. And it was I had held the whole big town hall for all the staff. And I gave them a very clear message. I said, unless we change how we do business, we're all going to go home.
It was that bad. We have a comment here from someone who's a big fan of the show. Let's just have a quick listen to this.
We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
We will never surrender. I think that just what you're talking here, this reminds me of this moment. Was that capturing the ethos at that moment?
Well, I have to say, I don't think I've ever heard Winston Churchill sound so good. He's in fine form, and as a fan of the show, yes, I mean, it was that. It's
he is a big fan.
It's interesting that you talk about Winston Churchill and sort of leadership. I was at a seminar last night where Malcolm Gladwell, the well-known journalist and author, was, and he was talking about how do you create high-performance cultures, and he was talking about 3 things were needed for that. One was a sense of urgency. One was this great word he came up with, which was called disagreeableness, and I'll come back to that in a second. And then the third was constraint. So you needed urgency, disagreeableness, and constraint in order to create this high-performance culture.
Sorry, sense of urgency, disagreeableness.
Yep.
And what was the other
Constraint.
Constraint.
Now, urgency, I think we all know what that is. There's a need to do something. So if you're facing a financial crisis, there's your need. There's your rallying
got that
call.
one covered.
Yeah,
you
that's
got
it.
that one covered. You get moving or you go out of business.
Exactly. Either we shape up or we go home. Yeah. Disagreeableness, the way that Malcolm described that, was it's not about being disagreeable and being argumentative. It's the fact that we are all hardwired to effectively achieve social acceptance and approval from our peers. Disagreeableness is this ability to do something knowing that we may not get social acceptance from our peers, but you're doing it because you think it's the right thing to do. And so you do it and be damned. It may well be that you end up being accepted by your peers and by society later because it was seen what you're doing was right. But that was a very interesting trait. It was doing something because you need to do it. And of course, constraint. Constraint can be anything. It could be time. It could be money. And all three things. And this is why I thought it was fascinating when Malcolm Gladwell was talking last night. That's exactly what we faced at DMCC. We faced this urgency. We faced a constraint, and we felt this idea that we were doing something that may be disagreeableness to others, but in fact we need to do it. And today, the fastest growing free zone, and I said soon to be the largest free zone in Dubai, and responsible for billions of dollars of physical trade. I think that's testament, and I'm very, very proud of what we've achieved.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that part of leadership is conflict, is getting that fight on. I mean, and that's kind of why I chose that quote from Winston Churchill, is when you find epic leadership, you find it in the epicenter of conflict. And I mean, and that's what you were thrown into as a leader as well.
I think that's interesting that, I've just been talking about this word disagreeableness. That's potentially that. It's not running from conflict. It's doing something because it's the right thing for the business. It's the right thing for you, and you may not please everybody at the time, but don't run away from that. And if we take that from one of the biggest learnings that I ever learned from trading, which is you had to be humble. So you've got to be humble. So as long as you are you can fight like a lion, if you like, to defend your position. You can fight like a lion to defend your business. But you can still be humble, and you can still respect everyone around you. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be disrespectful. So
this is Mr. Malcolm Wall Morris, Chief Executive Officer of the DMCC. Welcome back. It's Eye on Careers. I'm your host, Shane Phillips. We are listening to one amazing story. If you think 1,200% growth is exciting, then keep listening. It's the story of Mr. Malcolm Wall Morris, Chief Executive Officer of Dubai Multi-Commodity Center Authority, the DMCC. Malcolm, welcome back to Eye on Careers.
Thank you.
It's an amazing story. I mean, most people are off going to university. You go traveling. And, you just build your success story on the sweat of your own brow, getting down to the nitty-gritty and delivering results.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself, believe in yourself, back yourself.
And then deliver. It's all about delivery. If you deliver tangible results, they can't be argued with.
That's the key. But now you're managing a huge business. Do you have any macro business philosophies that are kind of your North Star as you cut through the darkness?
I have two. When you say I'm managing a large business, I have this very simple mantra. If you surround yourself with brilliant people and then empower them to be brilliant, then you'll be successful. It's not rocket science.
Find the smartest people.
Find the best people you can, empower them to be brilliant, and let them be brilliant. And they will work so hard. They'll work to deliver because they feel empowered. They feel that they have ownership of their business. They feel they have a vested interest, and they will keep on delivering and delivering, because if they're delivering success, the business grows, then you're able to reward them, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's something I've always done. It's something I learned when I was working for Life in London, one of the largest derivatives marketplaces in the world. I had a previous manager there who did just that. And he actually one day turned around to me and said, Malcolm, I always know that with certain of my star performers, they're never going to work for me forever. They're going to work for me for a short period of time. But if I can get the best out of them for that short period of time, then my business, my department will continue to grow and to prosper, and everyone wins. And that's a philosophy I've taken from him, and it's a way I try and manage the business, the DMCC business.
So you think, I think Bruce Henderson, when he started Boston Consulting Group, he kind of started this off where he would hire the greatest MBAs coming out of the big Ivy League schools. And he was actually part of the reason why those MBA salaries just jumped up, because he was willing to pay that premium to get them to start his joint company. Do you think that's actually worth it? The premium that the top performer commands is worth it?
There's something far more important than that, and that is belief. You have to hire the people who believe in your business. They believe in your leadership, and they believe in what you're trying to do. If they believe, they will deliver 120, 130% more than anybody else. They can have the best education in the world. They can have no education in the world, but if they don't believe in what they're doing, they don't believe in you as a leader, they don't believe in the business, then you have nothing. And that's something very much, that culture of belief, that culture of empowerment, that culture of ownership is what we've instilled into DMCC for the past 3.5 years, which is why we've seen these record growth and why there's going to be more to come. I think another one, I mentioned that I had 2 philosophies. The second one is that don't look at the bottom line. People, I believe, management is so focused on the bottom line, and they stare at it. They, how can I improve it? My philosophy is very simple. Focus on the people, focus on the products and services, and if you do that, the bottom line, guess what? It'll look after itself. Yes, have the best people, have the best finance team who'll wring every last cost out of how you deliver your business, who'll wring every last bit of revenue, who'll have the best salespeople. But look after your people, look after your products and services, make sure you're delivering the right product at the right time, at the right place, bang, your bottom line will explode.
And so do you think that's one of the issues that we're facing as we move forward in the world today, that as we go into this kind of institutional ownership, a lot of the companies now are owned by shareholders, they're owned by massive institutional money, that it's a short term. We have to deliver profits on a quarterly basis. Is this value destroying?
I wouldn't say it's value destroying. What I'm saying is it comes down to the leader of the individual business. Now, as I said, I empower my individual managers to run their business units, their departments, the most effective way they can. They're empowered to do that. And the day-to-day operation of that is down to them. Now, I think that to give a little example, I do this sometimes people think a random thing. I have something called Coffee with the CEO. Every single staff member of DMCC, whether they're a driver in the mailroom, my CFO, my COO, everybody gets randomly picked from a hat, and they spend 30 minutes with me, and we have a coffee. It's like 2 colleagues. And we talk about whatever they want. We can talk about work, we can talk about personal life, but they get to spend time with the CEO. Why? They get to understand what I'm like, I get to understand what they're like. I can understand all about DMCC's products and services, the fact that we have this amazing registration process, this amazing growth. But if I don't understand my colleagues, I don't understand the people delivering those products and services, then I'm not doing my job.
So for you, it's purely coming down to the people. Get the right people in the right seats, empower them, and off you go.
With the right direction, the right strategy, you can't lose.
And then the sky's the limit. And that's how you delivered 1,200% growth. So there's something there, I guess.
Well, it seems to be working for us right now. But of course, we remain humble. At the end of the day, there's much to be done. My executive chairman, Ahmed bin Salem, he takes his quotes from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed very, very seriously, in looking that every finishing line is a new starting line, and that's exactly how he, as the executive chairman of the business, drives the business. So he's always wanting more delivery and more results, and in turn, we as the management team and the rest of the company are more than happy to do that because we believe. And I go back to that point. If you believe in the business, if you've got people who believe in your business, they will give blood, sweat and tears to make it a success.
What about the person who's listening who wants to believe, wants to have this kind of direction, but they just don't have, they don't have it. They're not believing in themselves. They don't have a dream. Do you have any advice for them, or what you can actually do to find your footing again when you lose that? I mean, the sense of belief. I guess you're lucky if that's something that's been your shadow through your entire career. But for some of those people, you're kind of stuck. You want to hit stride, so you need to have focus. You need to have belief. You need to have that fire in the belly. How do you get it if you don't have it?
Small steps.
Small steps.
I think you have small steps. You can't run before you can walk. You can't walk before you can crawl. And that's the old saying. I think that you have to have that. If you really do trust yourself, if you do back yourself, and you think you can achieve stuff, then I think everything's possible. I think you've got to have the right work ethic. If genuinely you're working as hard as you can, you're producing as much as you can, and you treat your co-colleagues and others the same way that you would like to be treated yourself, you'll see a huge change in the way people look at you and they listen to you. And I think the other thing that's talking about listening, that is so important. I listen every single day to every word that's spoken to me. I don't just listen to the words, I listen to how they're said and who's saying them. And if you listen, and you truly listen, then you can learn.
One of the things that I've picked up from your story is the subtext, which I think is, in my humble opinion, potentially one of the roots or seeds of your immense self-belief, is your sense of identity. And when you were kind of cutting your own path after high school, instead of falling into the cookie cutter and saying, oh, I'm going to go to university, you had completely your own sense of identity. Hey, that's not me. This is me. This is where I'm going to go. And you were comfortable in your own skin. So I think partly it may be, if you don't have something that you believe in, that individual may be having an identity. They don't really have a firm grip on who they are as a person.
That could well be. I mean, who are we? I mean, we learn every day, we grow every single day. But the person we may have been 10 years ago isn't the same person that we are today, and I certainly hope I'm not going to be the same person in 10 years' time. I think for my story, in terms of making that decision not to go to college, which was a very clear decision, it was coming down to, I can follow the crowd going through the college route. And I can follow them, I can then do my college plus number of years of experience, then go back and do an MBA. And again, I'm not saying that I don't agree in formal education. As I said, I've been involved with the National University of Singapore and the Manchester Business School in projects that they've done. What I thought for myself was, how can I fast track and not be part of the crowd? How can I differentiate myself? Being an Irishman with an English accent, living and working in Paris, that was different. Yeah. Being a guy without a college degree who's able to prove tangible delivery, work from one of the largest financial institutions in the City of London, be headhunted around to run the region's most successful commodity derivatives exchange here, and then being asked, because of the delivery I'd done at the exchange, to come and run the parent company. That is huge self-belief, but I think it just shows that if you deliver, and if you're true to yourself, and you have that loyalty, then everything's possible.
Well, I really want to thank you so much for coming out on your Thursday night. I don't know if you have any last advice for anyone who wants to up their game and get to that next level, grab the next rung in the ladder.
Go back to what I said earlier. Learn to listen, true listen, and also learn to be able to communicate. You need to be able to express yourself, the things that you need to do, how you want to do them, and so people can listen to you. And it's a two-way street. And as for a Thursday night, my wife just had a baby, so I'm very happy to go home and look after the two of them, so it's all good.
Your wife just had a baby. When, like just now? Or?
Oh, about a month ago.
Okay. A month ago. Well, Mabruk, congratulations.
Thank you, shukran.
And Mr. Malcolm Wall-Morris, Chief Executive Officer of Dubai Multi-Commodity Centre Authority, DMCC, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.